Some women are simply born rich, confident, and naturally magnetic to their desires. Let's be clear, this podcast is not for them. However, if you're a soul-driven, visionary, or entrepreneurial woman who's been on a mission to learn how to create a better future bursting to come out of you, welcome to my world. I'm Jo Warwick, and this is Rich, Sexy, and Free. I've dedicated most of my career to helping women get to their core power and unlock the missing pieces for their own unique success. You may already know me as the author of The Big Book of Love. With 30 years experience in psychology, embodiment, manifesting, and energetics, we will be exploring together the keys to becoming rich, sexy, and free. So if this excites you, don't forget to like and subscribe on your favorite platform so you can stay up to date with the podcast. I'm just jumping on to let you know that today's episode of Rich, Sexy and Free is going to be split into two parts, as we have an incredible guest, Krista Weber, who will be diving into human design. This week is all about her amazing story about owning her voice and understanding human design for yourself and how you use that in your business. Next week, we shall be diving into human design and how money fits into that. So I'm really excited to share this incredible VIP episode with Krista Weber from Femme Luxe Life. Hi everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of Rich, Sexy and Free. And I'm so excited. I have a very special guest with us today, Krista Weber, who is currently based in Germany, but she's from Canada. So we've got this wonderful international feel, and her amazing business, the Femme Luxe Life. And I'm just so excited because we're going to be diving deep into human design. This is part of Krista's expertise, and she's got an incredible story, but I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Hello, Jo, and hello, all of your lovely listeners. I'm so happy to be here on this interview, this podcast with you today. We're going to have such a great conversation. So I'm Krista Weber, the founder and CEO of Femme Luxe Life, and this is a success mentorship hub for women who simply want to have it all. We don't want to negotiate. We want to have the business and the life and the income. We want to have the love. We want to have the health. We want to have the fun. We just want to have it all. And this is what I do in my business, supporting my clients. And we do this through shadow work. We do this through human design. We do this through blazing the trails and breaking all the right rules in all the right ways. This is what we do.
Well, the perfect fit, as that, of course, is a big part of Rich, Sexy and Free, is to live life on your terms. And particularly as I've recently launched the initiative, She Speaks with Passion. So before we dive into human design, can you share with us how you claimed your voice? Because I know you have such a kind of big shift that happened for you to starting your business.
Oh, yes. And it's so interesting because at the time I did not know about human design. So it's so fascinating because as the listeners will soon hear, how absolutely perfect this is when it comes to healing and when it comes to claiming our voice, speaking with passion, speaking with power. So as an expat living here in Germany, I've been with my husband for 13 years. We met in the US though. He was working in the US. I was living in Western Canada. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 21. I'm 40 years old now. He knew I was ambitious. He always knew that. We met in the US, fell in love, amazing man. I love a tall, sexy nerd, and he is that. So he was working at Harvard, scientist, doctor, kryptonite for me, and long distance for 2 years, moved to Germany, got married in Canada, moved to Germany. Now suddenly from being an ambitious, successful entrepreneur, now I'm a housewife with no friends who doesn't speak the language, living in East Germany, not even West Germany, like we're in Bavaria now, but we first lived in East Germany. He's from Munich. That's a whole different conversation, I'm sure, between East Germany and West Germany, very different. But I had no friends, I had no family. My baby was born there, our daughter was born there. But slowly, my effervescence, my joy was being dimmed. And I couldn't speak the language. My whole purpose was my daughter's schedule and then my husband's work schedule. I found myself filling the days with finding the best homemade almond milk recipe. And here's 5 different kinds of pumpkin soup. Which one is the best? But when you know me, you know that there's so much more fire inside me than that. So as my daughter got older, she went into preschool, yada, yada. Now I suddenly had a lot more free time on my hands and I began to wilt. I needed something, I needed a purpose. Unfortunately, that isn't the big turnaround that we were looking for. What did I do? I became certified in teaching English as a second language. So teaching, she loves to teach. She loves to speak. That gave me something. At least it gave me something. Now, ironically, I was then let go. Having done that for a few years, at least I have somewhere to go. At least I have people to talk to. At least I've got something to do. But this job is not even paying enough for the Chanel lipstick that I'm wearing on my face. Why the fuck am I doing this? It's not my purpose. I know it's not my purpose. And then so perfectly, in perfect divine timing, that institute let me go. I was their superstar teacher, but they had to let me go. They had to close the institute for a few months. So I got sacked. And I'm like, great, I can't even do that. And then hit an all new rock bottom, which I wasn't even aware was possible because I was crying a lot in the car. You know how a woman not living your purpose, feeling lonely, what am I doing? Where? Why? What? How did this happen? A lot of Lana Del Rey, a lot of crying in the car. And then it was like, I don't want my daughter to remember me like this. I don't want this to be our story as a family. And there was nothing that my husband could do. He could take me to Paris. He could buy me beautiful presents. He's very generous, but I had to realize he's not responsible for my happiness. I'm responsible for my happiness. And he's doing everything he can as a man. I have to claim this myself. But what is it? And then walking through the house, glass of Cabernet in hand, scrolling on Instagram as we do, chance upon this wonderful woman doing an Instagram live. She happened to be a business coach who's also a spiritual leader. And I was like immediately drawn in, not knowing that my sacral as a manifesting generator was wildly activated. This was 1000% my yes signal, but I did not know human design at the time. So wander out of the kitchen, swirling the glass of Cabernet, and then I have this almost eerie smile on my face, apparently. My husband still laughs about this. I walk over to him and I'm like, I know what I have to do. And he's like, that sounds so cryptic. What do you mean? And I'm like, I'm hiring a coach. He's like, what's a coach? And I'm like, I don't know, but I want to hire this person. I didn't even know what a coach was, but this woman activated me so much. And I thought I was going to start an English teaching institute of my own. I'm going to do it my way. So there's the Manny Jen showing up again. There's the one line, I'm a 1/4 showing up again, but I didn't know human design at the time. So I start doing this program. Now, she was a chakra specialist, and it was chakra healing and alignment while starting your business at the same time. And I dig in and I do the work. So now I have this purpose. I am all the way in. Momentum is happening. We're in the winter of 2019. We're before the pandemic. I'm so in. Then, cancer diagnosis. Diagnosed with thyroid cancer. I'm diagnosed with thyroid cancer. There are 4 different kinds. 2 will kill you, 2 will not. So I did not know what my fate was going to be. My wonderful husband, my beautiful daughter, having to have that conversation with my mom. Now, what's really interesting, thyroid cancer, all right? I was doing throat chakra healing at the time. I was not an expert of human design at that time, but as a manifesting generator, I was living in a country where I could not speak. I could not express myself. I could not speak German very well in the area that we lived. Now I took it upon myself. I'm pretty much zweisprachig. Now I'm bilingual. I can speak both. But at the time I couldn't. For almost 10 years, my voice was robbed from me. And as a Manny Jen, that was suffocating me. It was stifling me. I had nowhere to express, even culturally, the way that I dress, the way that I act, the way that I talk. I felt like I had to conform and contort myself to be accepted in the society. And I lacked a place to express my purpose. I lacked a place to express my truth. So I had just launched my business, did this whole big launch. Website is booked, had the photo shoot, booked. I'm going live on Instagram. I'm being very visible, but there's so much momentum. Bam, Krista. It's not just a cold node, it's cancer. So now you're in the hospital. Interestingly, when I was right there in the hospital, I decided, so a big thing of healing, of course, is feeling all of your feelings. I think my 11th surgery as I've lived here in Germany, so I've been through a lot. I've had a lot of accidents, a lot of catastrophes. That's why there's a lot of jokes that Krista, I'm an unkillable cyborg, because I've got metal in my knee, I'm missing bones, I'm missing organs, and I just keep going, and somehow I'm aging in reverse, and so it's wonderful. But that's what happens when you're living in your purpose and when you're living in joy. You're radiant, Jo. You know how it is. So I signed my first client the night that I was in the hospital. That is actually the night that I signed my first client within Femme Luxe. I was going live from the hospital, silk pajamas, gold face mask, deep conditioning in my hair, because I decided I am treating this surgery like a five-star hotel experience. If I can choose my reality, if I get to co-create my reality, then what reality do I want to be true? I heal so quickly, it's like nothing happened. I feel as comfortable in the hospital as if I'm with family, and everything simply works out to me. And every bit of energy that comes to me, it's put out in the form of multiplied success for everybody in my field. This is what I decided. So I became client zero. I became client number one. And then immediately after that, first client came in. Immediately after that, consistent one-on-one clients, even while doing radiation therapy, even while radioactive during a pandemic, raising my 4-year-old at home. And it was beautiful because as this healing went on, that tumor, it was 2 tumors, that was really, I feel, was unlocking the piece of my human design that is so important for a manifesting generator. And I see your human design, you have a defined throat as well. Although you have different gates than I do, which is interesting because as we're here together, you have a certain gate, which I have the other half too. So when you and I are speaking and we're in each other's energy, those things connect and become complete. And so there's really this beautiful harmony that happens. It's really beautiful. But you can imagine having a defined throat. I'm sure you can imagine if you were feeling silenced, what that would do to your energetic body.
So let's pause for a second because what a story. And so much I personally resonate. But I know that there will be women who resonate at the different phases, even just when you were talking about being the mother. And all you had to focus on in your day was what fucking almond milk am I gonna choose? That your whole world had become that small. And whether you're in a different country or whether you're doing, I know that so many women will have experienced that point of going, where the fuck am I? Where am I? I know so many women will resonate with. Like you, bit of a cyborg, I've actually broken pretty much most of the bones in my body, including my skull. And I found out when I was in Cambridge, I had broken my neck at some point and didn't know.
What? What?
I know. I was like, what? I was always told, oh, you're so clumsy. I did a lot of extreme sports for a start, but I didn't have that connectivity to my body. My journey is to love being in my body, love being human. And if we're going to talk about human design, I'm a 5/1 splenic projector, which means I can go into resentment. If I'm not allowed to express, I can become deeply riddled with resentment. And that's been the biggest part of my life, was feeling like I was squished and I was riddled with resentment. And that's the thing I've had to clear, because that was breaking my body. So for you as a manifesting generator, what's your downside?
So I call this the flow of yes, and we want to stay in the flow of yes. And so we pay attention to how it feels in our bodies. I have so many projector clients. I adore projectors. My husband is a projector, and I'm a manifesting generator. So my no zone is fury, hot anger and frustration. Being a hybrid type between generators, the no signal is frustration, and with manifestors, it's anger. And so if I feel, it will be a mix of the two, but if I'm like frustrated, that can be like a slow burning, but ever burning fire, or it's like an immediate rage. That's when I know that it's a no. The immediate rage, I notice now, it happens if somebody oversteps one of my boundaries, or if they overstep the boundary of somebody that I love. Like, it's usually something like that. But then immediately we don't give our power to things in the external and say, oh, this thing pissed me off. This thing frustrated me. This thing is making me resentful and bitter. We take our power back by saying, what is in my power to control in this? Then we go into our strategy, right? Your strategy is feeling successful. The way that I explain the feeling of success to my projector clients, and I've heard them be like, oh my God, Krista, I get it. It's like, when does it feel like it was a good use of your time? Because projectors, without having that sacral motor center, you guys have limited energy, meaning that whatever is a yes for you, feeling like success, this is something that is deserving. Your energy is like an espresso cup full of diamonds every day. It's very precious and it's a small container. So it's like, who is getting a diamond? What is getting a diamond? And you feel good when you're like, yes, this is getting my energy. Yes, yes. And it feels like a good use of your time. That's feeling of success and feeling peace, feeling like, I can chill now. And of course, feeling seen. So projectors having so much wisdom innate within projectors, like the bird sitting on the branch who can see the direction that the herd can go in, right? We have it described this way sometimes. But the feeling of needing to be invited, that can be so stressful and concerning for projectors. Like, what do you mean? I have to wait to be invited, but who's gonna say me? And that can be hard. But the interesting thing is if somebody is not inviting, meaning that their energy isn't open to receive you, if they're not open to receive you, it's a waste of your diamond. You're throwing a diamond at them and they can't catch it. It's like, why the fuck did I waste a diamond over here? So your energy is protecting you from wasting your precious energy. How it feels as a non-projector to receive information without having invited. My husband is a projector, as I said, and I've taught him this, and we work together with our human designs in mind, harmonious, delicious marriage. If somebody has not invited a projector, the feeling is like if you're getting changed into a new bathing suit in a changing cabin with bad lighting, and if somebody just opens the door and says, hey, that doesn't look good on you, or hey, it looks like this and like that, and you're like, I didn't even ask you. I don't even know how I feel about it yet. Don't you come in here and tell me how you feel about it. It feels invasive. It feels like being seen. And so projectors have that penetrating aura. And that's why projectors have to just be like, when they're ready, they will ask me. And when they ask me, I will tell them the truth. And so when people know how to honor the projectors in their lives, like my husband is a splenic projector as well. And I just ask him open-ended questions because projectors can think in these big abstract terms. And I'm just like, sweetie, I'm like, what do you think about the photo shoot that I'm doing next week? And I will give him no other information. And with that splenic authority, he'll just be like, I think it's great you're working with that same photographer. Last time you did a lot of black and white. I think this time it would be cool if you did more colors. And I think it's going to be really good in that studio. And you should probably book it in the morning because in the afternoon, da da da. And I'm like, I didn't think about any of that. I'm like, thank you, my love. And I can thank him. I'm open to his wisdom. And I have taught him, so generators or mani-gens, we have the sacral. So we're not super abstract. We need the yes, no, the this or the that. And our daughter is a generator. So I have taught my husband, perfect example. Yesterday, I walk into the kitchen, out of nowhere, my projector husband says to me, what do you think about Morocco? I start laughing, and I also feel this pressure. And I feel a little hint of that manifesting generator frustration. Because I'm like, that's such a big question. That's so abstract. What do you mean? What do I think about Morocco as a food destination, as the political history, as a place to visit? What do you mean? What do I think about Morocco? That question is too big. It puts me into frustration. It puts my mind into frustration. And my body has nothing to respond to. And he says, no, I mean, south of France versus going to Morocco. What do you think? I'm like, oh, okay, now I have a this or that. I have something to respond to. But I now understand that projectors have such a wide perspective. They can see so many multiple possibilities at once that it's possible for them to get one thread and go with it. Mani-gens and generators, we need to have a this or that black and white comparison. And I test it out with our daughter because she's a generator. So when she has to do homework, I'm like, math or German, this or that, this or that. She's like, this, that, that. So the communication, like how we're able to enhance our own power, how we're able to project our own voice when we know how to honor what is it that our body wisdom is telling us to do. And when we know our human design, we can work with that, we can make it work. And our bodies will not require us to constantly be hurt, to stop us from doing the no things, like what was happening with you, always breaking these bones, Jo.
I love that. And I just want to repeat what you just said about the body wisdom. That is the best way, I think, of pinning down human design. It is body wisdom. And it is about getting into knowing your own body. This has been the journey of my life. But I think when you've been traumatized, when you've been abused, we get miswired. So we're like, woohoo, there's the bad thing. Let's go towards that. But what we're trying to understand is that not because someone's a narcissist or someone's this, all those labels stop us from owning our power of going, my body actually told me that wasn't right. Or my body was trying to teach me to go, you're not listening, because sometimes it's so quiet because you've had to squish it. But the more, of course, that you learn to listen to your body, the more that you slow down and learn to listen how it's communicating, it gets to tell you. So let's just pin back for a moment so people understand the full gamut. So human design. We've talked about projectors, generators. What are some of the others?
The other types. So we have
Yes.
projectors, yourself, manifesting generator, generators, the architects of the human design. Then we also have reflectors, and we also have pure manifestors. And reflectors are so interesting because they have all of their centers open. All of their centers are open, not one defined center. They will have gates, but they will not have any gates that are connecting to form a channel, creating a defined center. They do still have profile, so they do have their gates, but they experience the world in such a different way. And I do have clients who are reflectors, and the way that I coach them, the way that I mentor them, the way that they achieve their goals and meet their success, it's a very different strategy. Of course, each type has their own strategy. It's so much more than type. As I said, profile lines make a huge difference. Defined centers, open centers, gates, channels, all of it. It's crucial. All of it is crucial. And then manifestors who have the throat defined, but they don't have that motor center of the sacral. So working in bursts of energy, inconsistent energy, fire starters, shit starters, trailblazers, pioneers, who need to be able to burst like a comet and then watch Harry Potter for a week and then rise up again. And they need to accept that. And the challenge, I think, for many human design types is that most prevalent in this world are the humans who have the sacral center defined. And that is a very magnetic center, and it can be a very kind of a bossy energy. Now, our open centers pick up the energies of those with the defined centers around us. So, for example, your splenic authority. My spleen is open, meaning that when I'm around you, I will feel that steadiness. I will feel that strength of your innate intuition because of your defined spleen. My open spleen will feel that and be like, oh, this is a safe place. She knows what's going on. She has the answers. You have your root defined as well. I don't have that either. So, okay, she knows what time it is, and she knows when we have to go. I feel so safe because my open center, oh, they crave completion. We can think of the open centers like the feminine centers of our design, and our defined centers are our masculine centers. So we lead, let's say we coach and teach from our defined centers because that's our innate wisdom and strengths within ourselves. And we hold space from our open centers. So for example, your emotional center is open, meaning that you're, I'm sure, very sensitive to the emotional state of people around you. And your baseline setting is actually to be chill. Your baseline setting is very chill. And so if you're feeling a particular high or a particular low, it's like, it's not necessarily yours. And you can then be like, okay, what am I learning from this? What am I intuiting from this? But I also know that I can take this off like a jacket, leave it on the ground because I am sovereign and I can just be me. And you're like, I'm a mirror. I can reflect people's emotional truth, but I am not a sponge. I don't have to take that in on myself.
That was a big lesson for me. I think this is a great subject to maybe weave down about how you use it in your business, because you mentioned earlier about as the projector, my thing is about being invited. And how do you work with that?
There are nuances, all right? And we must always remember, aside from any label, we must always remember we are sovereign. We have free will. That is the gift of humanity, the greatest gift of being human. We do get to choose. What I don't like seeing is people feeling limited or kept in a box. So when it comes to projectors, what I want you to know is if people have followed you, people who are in your audience, it's a standing invitation. If they're following you, consider yourself invited. Say everything that you want to say. Say everything that needs to be said. My husband, as I've said, is a projector. I married him. I chose that man. So he is also technically consistently, forever, perpetually invited. However, sometimes I do have to be like, my love, I don't have the energy or space to hear your wisdom right now. Is it okay if we talk about this later? So that's me using my human design, informing him of what my boundaries are. That's a manifestor strategy, management strategy. So there's communication. So it's not all cut and dry, black and white. But I just want you and every single other online entrepreneur who's a projector, I want you to know, or even reflectors really can feel unseen sometimes. And like, how do I fit in? Where do I fit in? The unicorns of the human design, where do I fit in? Just know the right people will never miss you. And the ones who are missing, you didn't need them anyways. Waste of the diamonds. Don't waste the diamonds. And so as a projector in your socials, in the online, what I love for all projectors to imagine, this is my lounge. This is my living room. This is my space, and we do it my way. It's my rules. And when people are here and they stick around, it's because they love my way. They love being at my house. And at my house, I can do whatever I want. I don't have to wear a bra all the time. I don't have to wear makeup all the time. And if you're down with that, the door is open. And you're a lighthouse. Like I said, I've had so many projector clients. I have so many projector clients. And their point of view and the efficiency that their point of view provides, oh, it's such a gift. And for those other human design types who have different motor centers and maybe they have more innate energy, like I'm like a friggin' energizer battery chihuahua, like I can go and go. But projectors, all it takes is one projector friend of mine or anybody be like, why aren't you just doing it like that? Like, why are you doing this? Why don't you just do it like that? And I'm like, oh my God, I would have spent 15 hours happily doing this all manually. And they're just like, why don't you just use this and do that and connect this to that? And then you can go back to bed. And I'm like, thank you. So it's a great thing. So you don't need to think necessarily that you're speaking into the ether. Like if you talk in your stories or if you go live, you're not talking to no one. You're laying that diamond down for the person to see who's exactly going to need to see it. And they are going to be so grateful and they're never going to forget you. And just remembering as well that for every hour of content that you have that people can consume, that's valuable, that's not just the fluff, that's not just the dusty rose beige stuff. For every hour of content that you have that people can binge, that could be in the form of carousels or reels or Instagram lives that are there in your feed, stories, free masterclasses, whatever. Every hour, people are prepared to pay you $1,000. That's high ticket mentoring, high ticket coaching. So when I said this to one of my clients, I'm like, would you do 3 lives this month if you knew you were going to make at least $3,000 from those lives? She's like, yes. And then she did. It's paying into that know, like, and trust. And it's also paying into that relatability. Yeah. I also love like creating content, speaking to the ether. You never know who you're going to reach. We have this ability to connect with people internationally. I've gotten messages from people. I was living out of my car with my 19-month-old baby after leaving an abusive guy, young, beautiful woman from Texas or something. But I have such a high standard now. I binged all of the lives that you have on your feed. I saved everything that I could. I downloaded every freebie that you had. And now I'm in an apartment and I have a job and da da da. And she's like, I can't afford to hire you. I probably won't ever be able to afford to hire you, but thank you so much because me and my baby have a different life now. And I'm like, it pays into the bank of people saying, Jo's my girl. Jo's the one. I like her. I trust her. I want to hang out with her. She's super smart. When you're speaking to the ether, you're paying into that, but you also never know the karmic treasures that you're creating for somebody else, and which is generosity and to give from that overflow. So you're always invited. I think that's my long way of saying that if they're following you on the Instagrams, you're invited, and light up that lighthouse for them if it feels good for you. And with your defined throat, you should. Not only can you, but you should. Also from your throat, babe, you need to create newness, and then you're really good at like new thing. I've innovated. I know the way. And guess what? It looks really good. Not just I have a new thing, but also isn't it beautiful? Like from your throat, you're able to be like, it's beautiful. Like you're such an effervescent, you have such an effervescent voice. And that's also interesting. Visionary, downloads from source, visionary, I know. And then also leadership. So the gate 20 that you have from your throat, the energy of the gate 20 is like a king standing on top of a hill, showing people the way and being like, look, I told you, and it's there and it's good, go enjoy. And it's leadership and it's activating. So I just cannot imagine you not talking all the time because it's such a superpower of yours, really.
Thank you so much. And isn't it interesting, like so many women, the story I've had to overcome is that I talk too much, I am too much, that I should be quieter. Yet my core innate self, which is what you're able to see through the human design, is going this way. But I had a programming that was like, shh. And literally it's what my dad did to me my entire childhood. You're too high, you're too much, you're too, shh, be quiet. Was in that time, I learned how to perform and do presence. So I learned how to use energy through my body. Now I recognize and to teach people that, of course, it's not just about speaking from your voice, it's speaking through your whole being. And when you align your voice with it, then that's how you have the power, and you can say less and say more, not just do what a lot of women who want to go out onto social media or want to go out with their business and want to go out into the world, they're just talking, but they're not actually saying what they need to say, or they're in their relationships and not understanding, which was a big part of my life as a therapist, was helping people how to communicate, because they're speaking in the wrong tone, they're speaking just a whole load of crap at their partner. And what you talked about was that wonderfulness between you and a husband going, well, this is the way that you communicate and this is the way that I communicate. How do we gel that together? So I think it's so beautiful. If people haven't explored human design, it's such a great format. It's a new format. Can you just explain that a little bit more?
Yes. So human design, it's a spiritual science that combines the Kabbalah, the chakra model, astrology, gene keys, the I Ching.
It's important to say that those things have been around for thousands of years. The I Ching, these are not just new things.
These are ancient sciences. My husband is a medical doctor. He's a surgeon. His dad's a cardiologist. All my brothers-in-law are like lawyers and CFOs, professors. So I'm surrounded by, I'm in a very academic family, and people have to know that I am an absolute fucking nerd, and I'm very, very curious. I love to research things. I have experienced medical miracles as I did chakra healing from the root to the crown. I was hospitalized 3 different times during my chakra healing, and my husband was like, what are you doing? Like, what is going on? And I'm like, whoa, have you ever heard of a chakra? And even my therapist was like, what are you doing differently? Because my life was transforming so fast. So I found a 40-page document on PubMed that ascertained that the chakra model, ancient, thousands and thousands of years old, lines up almost perfectly with Freudian psychology and Maslow's pyramid of needs. So it's very intuitive. So what I'm saying, there are some aspects of this, like when I talk about the astrological aspect, when I'm speaking to like literally billionaire businessmen, and then I start to explain to them where their Capricorn is, then their eyes start to roll into the back of their head. And I'm like, listen, maybe there are some things that we don't understand. Let's think about Nikola Tesla, who discovered electricity. He was like a witch. Like that was witchcraft, what he was doing. It's just a science we don't necessarily have the terminology for. So human design, it beautifully overlays these things. This was downloaded and channeled recently, as far as human history goes. It was downloaded and channeled quite recently, but it's something, it's complicated when you look at it. You can go to Jovian Archive, you can go to myhumandesign.com, lots of places you can find your chart yourself. When I first looked at it, because I have so many open centers, and you have an open crown, I have an open crown and third eye. And when I was looking at it, I was like, what does that mean? I don't have a brain, I can't think, my head is empty. And so what it means, like when your open centers are how you experience the world around you, they're how you experience other people around you. So when you have a lot of open centers, it simply means that you can be very sensitive in these ways. You have the open crown, which means pressure to know, pressure to have the ideas, pressure to know what to do next. But the beauty of it is that you're like a satellite for ideas. And then you filter those ideas through your body wisdom. How does this feel good to me? And that will help you know what to choose when you use your body wisdom. So human design, it is a beautiful way to get to know yourself, to get to know your partner. And then when you have a business, it can help you know, for example, as I said before, we coach from our defined centers and we hold space through our open centers. Now, I have an open G center. My identity center is open. So I can be a chameleon, I can fit in with a lot of people just about anywhere. That has served me in my life very much. But when I'm in the shadow, if and when I'm in the shadow, then I can feel untethered. Like, who am I? What do I like? What do I stand for? So you can imagine moving to Germany really messed with my open identity center. Now, your open identity center is defined, so you know who you are. You know, and but the shadow of that is feeling forced to fit in when you totally don't want to, and you have no interest in doing that. And so when we have our business, I should not coach people on, I'm going to tell you what your purpose is. That's not the way that my coaching is, because my identity center is open. That's not my innate gift. Through my other gifts, people will uncover their purpose. It will happen, but not by me saying, you, blah, blah, blah. My defined centers, my throat, my sacral, my emotional, meaning that, what was the very first group program I did that took off? It was called Elite Boundaries and Savage Self-Love. So my superpower, passion, self-knowledge. In German, we say the Macht, the force, the power to get shit done. That's my sacral. And then the voice, speaking your truth, speak your boundaries, be authentic, manifest, believe that you can have it. Those are my powers. So that's where I coach from. So for yourself, for anybody else in business, you want to design your business around your human design, meaning that you don't do things like a generator. For example, more than 70% of people have the sacral, which is like, I can do anything. I have energy to do stuff all the time. Generators feel very pressured to master something. So generators sometimes can get stuck in a box where, because I'm really good at it, I have to keep doing it. Projectors, manifestors, reflectors, those of you without the sacral, build your business around your human design. How does it feel best for you? What's your schedule like? Do you want to have calls or do you not want to have calls? Do you want to have camera on? Do you want to have camera off? Do you want to do calls from your bed that are 15 minutes long, literally off camera? You can create your business that way if you want to. Do you want to do things live? Do you want it all pre-recorded? You can create it all any way that you want to. And I've worked with women who are in the process of what we call deconditioning from the shoulds. That's what I call it, deconditioning from the shoulds. Most of them have worked with a generator who told them it has to be like this, it has to be like that. If you don't do it like that, you're doing it wrong, you're going to fail. And then what they're not realizing is that projector has her own absolutely genius, innovative way to do it. Let the projector do it her projector way. So that's what I'd like for everybody to know about their human design. make your life and your business around your design, because the more pleasure you have, the easier it feels in a way. Satisfying pressure, like satisfying accomplishment, the easier it feels for you, the better it feels, the more you'll stay in it, you'll sustain, and then you're going to explode. If it doesn't feel good, you're not going to keep doing it. I hope.
I love that. I absolutely love you. Thank you so much for your time. Please remind people again, where can they find you?
My Instagram is my playground. That's where you can always find me. It's at femmeluxelife.co. That's where you find me, and you can go to the link in my bio. I do my best to post as many free resources as I can. I just love this work, and I've loved this conversation with you, Jo, so much. I know we could spend the whole afternoon together.
Wherever you're listening, if you're watching on YouTube or on any of the amazing podcast platforms, you'll either find it in the show notes or below in YouTube. And of course, we love hearing from you, so do reach out. It's been great to connect with you today. Don't forget to come and be part of the community. And if you want to find out more about how I can help you personally, just simply go ahead and visit richsexyandfree.com. And I look forward to seeing you next week on the podcast.